What's going on, everybody, and welcome. Welcome to the first episode of Just Sussin. This is the first ever Among Us talk show. You can find it right here on YouTube. What's going on, everybody? My name is RPLTKO, and with me today is my good buddy, my good frenemy, TwoTone. TwoTone, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well, Ripple. It's just exciting to be here, exciting to be doing this first episode of Just Sussin.
Yeah,
We're going to be taking a look at the building blocks to what makes a solid Among Us game. We're going to be pretending that a lot of the basic mechanics of the game, and we're going to go over what we think makes the backbone of solid Among Us play. And so if you're currently building your skills, if you're out there like, man, I have this lobby I'm playing with consistently, I want to just kind of take it a little bit to the next level. We're not here to make you S tier. We're not going to make you the next Hafu, the next disguised toast, but we're definitely going to give you some good tips and just talk about some great play and have fun. That's the real point of this.
Yeah, and if you haven't yet, please do subscribe. It means a lot to a new show like ours. I see there's a lot of likes. There was more likes than people viewing, which was really cool. So if you haven't yet, go ahead and click like, go ahead and click subscribe. And because this is a brand new show, I just want to go ahead and tell you a little bit about myself. So Ripple TKO, I'm a YouTube creator who makes Among Us videos. And I host open lobbies every Tuesday. I'm looking to branch out into some other content, so it's going to be a lot of fun. And I play a lot with TwoTone, and I met TwoTone, funny enough, because of Among Us. I've met so many cool people because of Among Us, and of course, some other connections. So, TwoTone, why don't you tell the audience about yourself?
Absolutely, yeah. I'm TwoTone. I'm a creator over on Twitch, twitch.tv/TwoToneWA. I'm based out of Seattle, Washington, hence the WA at the end there. And yeah,
True.
I've been playing Among Us for a while throughout pandemic times, as so many of us are. And, Ripple approached me after we've been playing in these games together, and I had been talking about watching these, fantastic S tier YouTubers and trying to better understand how they play so I could get better at the game. And he was like, let's do a thing. Let's actually talk about that. Let's build that out and make that into a show. So I'm just really excited to be here doing this with you. I think it'll be a lot of fun. And yeah.
Yeah, I'm super stoked as well. Here we are, just kind of building the airplane as we fly it, if you will. So, today's episode, we're talking about sabotages. So, right now in the chat, give us all of your questions. Any question you have about sabotages, how sabotages work. If you have any questions about when the best times to throw a sabotage are, that sort of thing, we're going to give you shout outs throughout the show. So, it is definitely a live interactive experience. So your participation means a lot. It's going to help us a lot because, hey, we're going to talk. And then at the end of the show, or towards the end of the show, we're actually going to play some Among Us, and we're going to get a chance to actually try out some of those strategies that we're going to be discussing on the show. Now, of course, sabotages are one of the biggest aspects in the game. They're basically temporary distractions that allow imposters to manipulate crewmate positioning as well as create confusion in any given round. On most stages, you can do one sabotage at a time, with the exception being Polis, because the doors are considered sabotages, and you can do doors while you're doing the other sabotages. And we're going to get into the nitty gritty, a lot of the minutia, we're going to get into the weeds about what those sabotages do. But what is the right time to throw a sabotage? When are the best times to turn out the lights? And when should you not call a comm sabotage? The answer is you always call the comm sabotage. Talking about that over the next little while, and that would be imposterable. Carter, thank you. That one's for you.
Ooh.
So, Two-Tone.
Two-Tone. Let you keep going.
Yeah, right. Two-Tone, what is your favorite sabotage to throw?
Oh man, I mean, I appreciate. It was a bold statement you just made about comms, I gotta say, and
True.
I'm looking forward to diving into that more. As much as I love comms, as much as I love O2, as much as I love Reactor and Doors, there's just nothing more overpowered and versatile than lights. I mean, it's not the most controversial or unexpected answer. You see lights being the preferred sabotage call of pretty much every major player, any kind of competitive player or streamer. They're going to lights because when you're trying to call a sabotage as imposter, you're using every tool and advantage you have available to you through the game to unlevel the playing field to your advantage, right? You already start in most lobbies with increased vision over the crewmates. Lights is going to give you an even greater advantage in that space. It's also going to give you some of the best opportunities to fake crewmate like activities. If you want to be the one to pre-jack lights and be there as soon as it happens, man, it's pretty crew-like behavior if you're thinking about it. But most of all, the reason I think it is the best sabotage is because the hardest part about being imposter is building up your alibi, right? You are always going to be in the place where a kill happened, and you've got to make sure that there's enough fuzziness, that there's enough gray area, and lights gives you that space. It lets you lie about where the body is, or even just move it a little bit in the location. It helps stop the crewmates from being able to necessarily clear everyone that's around them, which is one of the easiest ways to get caught as imposter. You can get a great kill, but if all the rest of the crewmates are in sight of each other when the kill happens, you're done.
Well, yeah, absolutely. So why don't we go ahead and let me see if I can figure this out. Technology is fun, but we're gonna, it looks like I've got the browser up. We'll go ahead and listen to this clip from Dumb Dog. Hold on one second.
Oh, I think we try a classic frame kill. Like, look at all those people going to medbay. Right? So here's what we do. Right? We kill the lights.
Here's the lights. Ooh, one of my favorite techniques right here.
Pop in.
Boom.
Get the kill.
Easy as pie.
Get the kill. Get out. Easy peasy. So why don't we go ahead, TwoTone, why don't you break that down for our viewers? That was a pretty solid, pretty clean kill.
Yeah, so this is just a little bit of context. Dumb Dog, one of the higher tier players out there, played in a lobby with some friends who don't play Among Us nearly as much. And so he was like, I'm just going to play around. I'm going to try a couple of challenges and just see what I can do. And so his first thing that he decided is like, I'm going to get a frame kill. And he sets it up beautifully, right? He makes that run around the bottom of storage on Polis. He's out of sight from anyone else. He calls lights, hops in the vent, and he knows from coming down into the dropship that he saw all those people go right. So he knows when he gets the kill, there's going to be all these possible suspects who can't see each other, who can't vouch for each other, and now are all going to turn on each other. And his ability to place himself almost anywhere else on the map, because he knows so many people are in the place where he just killed, gives him a huge amount of room to create an alibi for himself and keep the attention on everyone else. Mm-hmm. It's really one of my favorite plays with lights. Is it gives you that kind of space to really get the crewmates focused on each other. And if you're really giving yourself that situational awareness, Polis is great for that when you're coming out and you can kind of see roughly where folks are. That's going to be one of the just textbook best kills that you can get early on as imposter.
Oh, absolutely. And then there's a couple other ones when you look at a stage like Mira. There's, of course, the infamous toast kill when you kill the lights while you're in the lab, and then you go ahead, you vent up to where the lights are, because the vents go to everywhere on Mira. And you go and kill the first person who gets to the light panel, and you go right back to pretending that you're doing rocks. It's a beautiful thing.
I'm in reactor. How could I possibly?
I'm in reactor.
I was all the way. There's a decontam door I have to go through to get there. My God.
Yeah, there's no way I could have gone all the way that I vented.
Well, and that's the thing. And I think one of the reasons that, Mira, I love Mira. I do. Yeah. I understand why people are down on it, because it is an advantage to the imposter being able to vent literally anywhere through. And you have to have someone who's really good on logs to be able to catch you in a lie about that. But even if they're good on logs, even if they can read all those sensor readings of your movement, as long as you go back to where you started, where the sensors show that you were supposed to be, lights and that vent combination, you're set. There's so much that you can get done in those spaces, which again is why pre-jacking lights as crew is one of those things that can really show off that you are very crew-like.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
It's also one of the reasons I will tell new players over and over again who are a little nervous about going to lights on Skeld, because that's where all the killing happens. You got to go to lights if you're crew. You got to go to lights. You can't.
Absolutely.
We can't afford as a team. When you're a crew, you're a team. You might not know everyone that's on your team to start, but you got to go and help the team, and that means fixing that sabotage as quickly as you can.
Absolutely. I'm just going to take a quick look at the chat. And again, if you are in the chat, hit us with all your questions. We actually have 3 really good ones. 2 questions and a statement from Alan. Alan says, that was a risky kill, which was the best part about the kill, since blue went to the left immediately. No, it's true. And realistically, a lot of the kills that you're going to get that are good are going to be slightly risky. And it's all about knowing about where your positioning is while you're getting those sort of kills, while you're, knowing general positioning of everybody, as well as knowing how to get in and out of spaces quickly. That's going to help your game so much. But I'm going to go ahead and ask you this question, which I think is really intriguing. Do you think you should mainly not call sabotages until the body is old, or not call sabotage at all?
That's an interesting question. I would say that you want to call sabotage generally pretty quickly after that. I mean, it depends on what your aim is, right? One of the things that we haven't talked about yet is Skeld is a great place for this, but sabotages move the crewmates around. Just like I was talking about as crew, you want to get and fix this sabotage as quickly as possible. Imposters can use that to their advantage to move people away from a body if they're trying to make sure that they can go build themselves an alibi. The longer a body is dead, the harder it is to really pinpoint who it is, right? Yeah. Crewmates only have so much information at their disposal, and a huge part of that is timing and location. So if you can move them away from the body as soon as you've killed it, you can buy yourself some time to get away.
Absolutely. And one of the best ways to do that, one of the best sabotages to do that, would be, of course, reactor meltdown and seismic stabilizers. And we got a little video right here. Here is a video of Chilled.
All right, get the reactor going, getting the kill. Got a lot of people over here. Just wait over here until somebody runs by. Someone's bound to run by. Someone's bound to run by. Wow, they turned it off already.
Boom.
Wow. Wow, I hope she shits herself. Okay.
Well, pardon you, Chill. Rude language. I should have talked to him about. No, that clip's awesome, because I feel like that's a clip that's pretty early in the popularity cycle of Among Us. You can see that Chilled is actually learning some of the intricacies of it, and you can see that they still have visible voting and whatnot. So it's a pretty early video, but it still shows the fundamentals of what seismic can do. Essentially, he's going to play the reactor so that people are going to go towards where the sabotage is. And Alan Chavez actually mentioned, well, don't you think that most people would go the opposite way on the map just because they know there's probably a body there? Well, in certain situations, you're looking at an opportunity where you can actually snipe a really good kill by getting the person who's going away from. So if you don't kill, you call the sabotage. Instead of calling a sabotage to divert the attention from a kill, you kill the person who's looking to catch the person. And that's a good way to play that one. What do you think, TwoTone?
Absolutely. I love this. Some of these early videos, when particularly these established streamers are still figuring out the game, I love, because they're narrating their education process as they go. And Chilled does a great job here, where he's talking about, okay, I'm going to call reactor and I'm going to pick somebody off. You're absolutely right, Alan, that there are players who will go the opposite direction trying to find the body. I do that on occasion, depending on the lobby I'm in. And exactly as Ripple said, you can use that if you know that that's someone in your lobby likely to do that. A little bit meta, but you can absolutely go and find that person, pick them off. But as Chill does in this video, you can just grab a quick kill and then make your way and leave that body in the dust. And it's a little bit risky. There's always a chance someone's going to come up right as you're leaving. But you use that vision, you give yourself as best guess as you can, and you take the shot and move. So I think it can be to hide bodies, it can be to snipe people off, but you're playing with movement at all times, and you want to adapt it to whatever the lobby you're in is most likely doing. I think to something Alan said earlier about calling it when it's old, you can totally do that as long as the body is in a place that's going to get old. That you got to be careful, because sometimes you've got players in your lobby who are like, I'm gonna go check every corner of Skeld. I'm gonna make sure that I'm looking deep in lower engine, or I'm gonna make sure I'm looking deep in the upper right navigation, because I want to make sure I don't miss any potential bodies. So if you can, and that's going to be old, then yeah, absolutely call sabotage when you're far and distant away. Build yourself an alibi. But that's exactly the idea. Sabotages can help you move people around and give you the alibi you need.
Absolutely. And you mentioned, just as you said, that seems risky. Dark Gamer said that felt really risky, and that's true. It's true. Like, well, let's face it. There are very few truly safe plays, because now we've gotten to a point in the meta of Among Us where a lot of people are very familiar with how the game goes. So there's certain situations where you have to know that, hey, I can probably do a risky kill here, and then where you kind of cover over for the fact that it's risky is, again, positional awareness, knowing kind of a general idea of where your opponents are, as well as hopefully you're playing with a lobby over an extended period of time. Because I feel like the best aspect about this game, about Among Us, is that it is a social deception game. Sure that there's the mechanics of actually having to do tasks or actually killing people and throwing sabotages, but the true meat of the game is the speech play and the technique that you put into it. And really, you're just looking to, as an imposter, use the sabotages to deceive or confuse your opponents.
Absolutely. I mean, the way that I've seen the meta grow over the course of this year, as we've all gotten into this game and really enjoyed it, it doesn't necessarily build on itself as much as it swings like a pendulum, right? Like you'll start with this idea of you should only vote in this way, or you should only call sabotages in this way, or everyone's gonna behave in one direction, and then that leaves open the possibility of, what if I subverted that expectation, right? What if I tried something completely different and turned that on its head? One of the things that I remember early on was, like, when there weren't anonymous votes, you could read certain votes to be like, oh, those two people are voting against the rest of crew, so they must be imposter. Well, now imposters are careful about that, right? Whenever I play imposter, I'm always thinking, like, my default should probably be to vote for my teammate if they're sus, because I don't want to look like I'm trying to protect them and go against crew. And so now I can do that, and if crew makes a wrong vote and two of them are on the spot where they shouldn't be, well, now there's just incorrect sus on these crewmates, and I can walk away scot-free as imposter. So those kinds of expectations are going to kind of keep swinging back and forth as people get going. And the longer you play with a lobby, the more you're going to develop that with each other, the more you're going to understand it. Now, if you're playing in random lobbies, you're playing in public games, it's a totally different
Good luck.
thing. Yeah, absolutely. Like, no, and that's where it gets a little more objective. It gets a little more, you kind of just got to kind of work with that. But you can also pick up pretty quick. There are some similar personality types across most Discord lobbies, right?
Yeah, there's the maniac like Ripple, who's always sus and is going to kill on sight without thinking. And then there's the methodical, violent killer like TwoTone, who will literally make you think that you're the imposter, even though you know fully well that you're a crewmate. Really quickly in the chat, this is actually answering all my questions. Wow, thanks, Ripple. You are so welcome, Dark Gamer, for sure. Alan Chavez. But maybe you can call the sabotage towards the body so it can be a recent kill. I love that. I love that. Again, we're working with positioning here. We're working to kind of move the players around, and hopefully you're letting them see exactly what you want them to see as imposter, and sabotages really do work well for that. Dark Gamer again, what if you do a pro gamer move and call a meeting when a body is dead? What I'm guessing that, yeah, I mean, like, typically bodies are dead when you're calling them in the game. What I'm thinking is maybe it is more like you call the sabotage and then you report over your own sabotage to stop the sabotage. I love that move. There's certain times when that makes a lot of sense for sure. Two Tone, can you think of a couple of situations where that would work?
Sure. I think, self-reporting is it's a tough one to nail right. Like you want to make sure that you have enough situational awareness of where folks are to make
Mhm.
your report not give you away, right? Like when they start, typically the lobbies that I've played in, they'll start with an idea of like whoever is making the report is obviously potentially self-reporting, but we're going to assume at the start of this that, let's find everyone else because we know where that person is.
Mhm.
If everyone else can get cleared, then they just end up deducing that it's you doing it. So I think if you're gonna self-report, yeah, sabotaging can help, but self-reporting to me really comes down to you've got to give enough time between the kill and when you report to make it
Mhm.
plausible that someone else could have been in the area, that you came up, that you were seen somewhere long enough before that there's no way you're the only one that could have done it. But
Yeah.
I absolutely, I love the idea of calling a sabotage towards the body. I think that's particularly if you've gotten some distance and you can,
Mhm.
end up walking right up on it, or someone else. Like it absolutely works to move people in that direction. I think the other thing you mentioned calling a meeting.
Right.
You can absolutely call a meeting when there's some dead bodies around. You got to be really careful about the math when you're doing it.
Mhm.
Calling a meeting can be a really effective way to uh, give yourself a crew like feeling to the rest of your lobby. But if you're calling a meeting without a really crew like purpose, and what I'm talking about here is, early on, it doesn't seem like there's much. You're not on pull list, so you don't know, you can't tell through vitals if someone is dead or not. Then you call a meeting because you want to reset cooldown, right? Or if you are on Polis and you can tell that you're down to 6 players and a double kill is going to win the game, you haven't voted anyone out, or you're down to 5, right? These moments that could save the crew, you can button and hide the bodies. But if you make a kill and there's only one body or there's 2 bodies and you go and hit the emergency button and no one found those bodies, you're immediately going to develop at least a little bit of suspicion because you've
Absolutely.
now hidden the bodies from the crew, and that's
Mhm.
vital information. It depends on how intense your lobby can be about that. Every lobby has different rules about how they approach what's good buttoning or not, and some can get very strict and others can be very loose about it. But I would say really make sure you've got a good crew like reason for doing that before you make that play.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's also part of the beauty of the game is that it truly is situational. So there are certain times when one sabotage or the other does make more sense. And knowing the spots when those make sense really tie into your overall game. So, for instance, a self report at the beginning of the game, ooh, you're going to have a lot of people who are kind of roaming around with each other and whatnot. But as you go along, throughout the game, maybe a self report when you're on 5 is a good idea. That way, if you have someone else who's got some sus on them and you can kind of roughly position other people away from each other, then, maybe you go ahead and call a lights sabotage and you go and you kill in front of the light panel. Maybe not in front of everybody. You can always position yourself away from it. That gives you a good opportunity to possibly report and be like, "Oh, I just came up on the body. What just happened? It's so strange." Tee hee. How do
I
Sorry,
don't.
guys.
I
Uh,
don't think we have this clip ready, but in a future episode, we'll make sure to bring it up. There's this amazing play by Five Up, who, if you
mhm.
want to study bold kills, just watch Five Up. Like
Oh,
one of
absolutely.
the boldest imposters out there, and is so good at this game. Just literally sets up like, oh, I want to try this play. Oh, I want to try this crazy idea. And there's one play where it's down to 6. It's they voted off, I believe, some wrong people, but his teammate is gone, and so he calls reactor and he goes and waits for one of them to show up and kills someone when there's 2 other people present, reports his own kill, and then calls out the 2 people present as a failed double kill. And
Yep.
rather than him getting any of the sus, he gets 2 people ejected to win the game. It's absolutely one of the most just ballsy plays, but it works because he's so insistent about, I just saved the game. I just
Yep.
saved the game. And doing that kind of self-report moment is really a great way. It's a risky play. It's absolutely a risky play, but it's a great way to mess with the crew and see if you can pull it off.
Absolutely. And that's where speechcraft comes into it. We're actually going to have future episodes where we're talking about speechcraft, where we're talking about the 5v1, 4v1 situations, that sort of thing. And I just noticed that we do have some new viewers in the chat. So, hey, welcome to Just Sussin. We're talking about sabotages today. Go ahead and hit us with any question you have about sabotages right in the chat. We're actually going to be answering them on the fly. I'm going to go ahead and read some of the comments so far. Crash, don't ever say tee-hee again. Good feedback. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Eat 'em all. What happens if you call a sabotage, but someone calls a meeting at the exact same time? That's a really good question. I don't necessarily know the mechanics of it. I think one would maybe one would take precedence over the other. Like, I don't know if they get called at the exact same time, whether one overrules the other. I think it might just be down to the timing of when the game actually receives the input. Do you know if that's accurate or
Yeah,
not?
I don't know the specific
Mhm.
nature of the mechanics for the game, but yeah, I mean, and and look, Among Us is a beautiful game. I love it, and Inner Sloth, we love you. Hometown for me. They're based out of Redmond. You know, this small team doing it. The game can be a bit buggy. It absolutely has some moments where there are some glitches that occur. It exploded in popularity, so it's entirely possible that you're going to get 2 of those at the same time. And even if you're dang sure that you got yours first, another one might go off. I think it's probably whatever gets there in the millisecond before, but I don't know for sure.
Absolutely. I think it's just one's going to overrule the other. I don't think one has priority over the other. That's just my impression. So it's just whatever goes through first or whatever the game receives first, that's just what's going to happen. So I don't know. Let's go ahead and read a couple other comments. Alan, again, thank you so much for contributing to the show. This is really your show. So go ahead and keep on chatting and
Absolutely.
we'll go ahead and answer all of your questions. Alan Chavez, but on 4 well on Polis, you definitely need to sabotage after you kill, since it becomes 3, and a person on vitals will just push the button. It's true. I think that there are a lot of situations when you're on 4 that you definitely need to have some form of sabotage ready. TwoTone, can you think of a couple of situations where that
Yeah.
would be?
I mean, yeah, it's definitely most of the time you're going to want to call sabotage, right? There's always an exception. There's always a play. There's always a way. This game is infinite in its possibilities. So I won't ever say every single time, because you could kill on vitals and camp
Yeah,
the body, right?
absolutely.
You can do that. Wait till your cooldown or make a self-report and accuse the person walking up. But most of the time you're right. And one of my favorite plays on Polis, and this we'll get now to comms, one of the best sabotages for sure, is if you can kill somewhere in a corner, particularly up by like cams in the upper left, or in lights in that area, call comms immediately.
Absolutely. Call comms.
In that 1v3 situation, when you go and make that kill and call comms, you're making sure that you're not driving them towards the body, right? Particularly if you're in that upper left corner, because reactor's still
to the center. Yeah.
driving them to the center. And comms, especially since one of the most recent patches where it no longer gives you the green light that you're there. You have to hold it in the right spot based on the sound to make sure. It really takes most people a long time to fix. It's one of the harder sabotages to get right quickly. You can practice at it for a while, and there are players who are very, very good at nailing it. Again, 5-up is one of the things. Ripple is very good at getting comms fixed quickly. But by calling comms, you give yourself that time for that cooldown. You play the doors against the crew, and you can get that second kill. You can also just give yourself more time for an alibi, but I think most of the time in that situation, you should just be going for that second kill if you can get it.
And nothing more satisfying than having a couple of people trying to adjust the comms, and then your kill cooldown goes down and you get to kill right in front of the last person. Like that's a beautiful way to win. But there's no hard and fast rule on how to play any situation. So like TwoTone said, there's almost infinite possibilities when it comes to this game. Let's go ahead and watch this clip. This is Hafu, who is going to give us an example of the comm sabotage. Boom. Oh, that's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
What a finish.
Just sit there and wait. And I think Alan makes a great point in the chat that you can just fake comms. And crew, one of the things I love is crew walks up, sees Hafu on there, is like, oh, okay, well, it's getting fixed. And
yeah,
it's like,
eventually.
Oh, thank you. I will just wait for my cooldown to finish so I can get this last kill.
Yeah.
You know, I think also to something Alan says there, yes, killing on vitals in a lot of lobbies is a bad idea at that time. If your crewmates are not done with their tasks, if your lobby is just not generally one of those lobbies that's going to be checking vitals in admin or have someone that does that, or if you've already killed the person that does that, again, every lobby has a different play style. You can sometimes get that kill. You can sometimes make that work for you. Sometimes it's, you know, killing in a corner in the meeting room by like the water jugs. There's a lot of different opportunities. You just got to adapt it to what you know of your lobby. That's one of the times where I think meta is absolutely necessary and a good way to play is to understand the behavior of your lobby and how they want to behave as crewmates. If you're the person that everyone relies on for vitals and admin info and you're the imposter, absolutely time to start playing that to your advantage. So you're right. Most of the time you don't want to do that, but there are occasions where it can be helpful.
Yep. And then let's not forget, of course, all of those particular sabotages have nice bells and whistles, but sometimes the best sabotage that you can pull out is the door sabotage. So we'll go ahead and watch. This is, of course, Disguised Toast during Disguised Toast's legendary marination. Hold on, I just have to close another window so this actually works. So this is Toast's legendary marination of scissors. And this is great. This is such a great example of the door sabotage on Polis. Alan Chavez in the chat. This is his most viewed vid. Yeah, no question. No question. Faye, yo, sorry for being late, y'all. Don't be sorry. Thanks for being here.
We're glad you're here.
So yeah, as you can see right there, Toast has just called all the doors and has called the lights and has made a kill and is now pretty much scot-free until someone finds the body.
Yeah, I mean, this is the big advantage on Polis, right? The ability to call all those doors and still have your sabotages available to you, your emergencies available to you.
Absolutely.
I think that, you know, for those that don't know, on Mira and on Skeld in those maps, when you call a sabotage, well, on Mira there's no doors, but when you're on Skeld, when you call a sabotage, you can't call the doors. When you call the doors, you can't call a sabotage. You're gonna see those cooldowns for a little bit before you can do it. So you've got to be thoughtful about how you want to approach those choices. But on Polis, that combo is, I think, a great one. There's some different play styles. Toast is one of those folks, and I think this to me is the most optimal way. Close all the doors. You start doing targeted door closures. That's a bit of info that the crew gets to use about where things are.
People are going to notice for sure.
People are going to notice, right? If I'm running through Polis on the bottom of the map and I see comms is closed but not weapons, I'm going into comms. I'm checking comms for a body. If I'm running around and I see electricals open but storage is closed, okay, well, there's definitely a body in storage. There's always a body in storage. But I love the way that Toast makes this kill use it. It's absolutely, there's a great reason why this is his most viewed vid. But it's a great use of that combo on Polis. How do you feel
Absolutely.
about using doors on Skeld?
So I think that using doors on Skeld is actually important. I think doors, on both stages are actually very important. It's a part of a well-rounded game to basically. So there's certain situations where it doesn't make sense on Skeld particularly because when you do that and Skeld being it's just a circle. So it's quite easy to kind of lock certain people in when which will give them an idea of who they're locked in with. So sometimes it's good because it allows you to create an alibi. But then if you consistently get locked in with someone and nothing's happening, even that can be kind of suspicious. Um, there's certain times on Scaled where I'll just kind of let the doors, do what they do. Um, and only use them in certain situations, like for instance, endgame. I feel like doors on endgame play are super important because that way you get to time out exactly where people are going to be and guide them through the process of going through your meat grinder. Why do you ask that question, though, about Scaled?
Well, I think as Alan points out in the chat, doors are the most overpowered sabotage on Skeld. More so than even lights, I would say. As much as I love lights and making those kind of bold kills, particularly in the like weapons O2 navigation area, doors, exactly for the reason you say, at the end of the game, your ability to run down the clock, get your kill cooldown, because each set of doors is going to take 10 seconds, right? And most lobbies play with a kill cooldown of 20, 25 seconds.
True.
So you're going to buy yourself some time. But even earlier on in the game, doors are something that can be an incredible frustration for everyone because it stops them from getting their tasks done. Locking people in, there's literally nothing they can do. You got to be a little bit careful. You can use it to your advantage because you can also lock yourself in with someone, not kill them, start marinating them, which is definitely my play style. I don't go for the quick kills the way you do. I like to take my time and really make a nice chicken parmesan out of most of the crew if I can. But you can use it to give yourself a space of people will soft clear you for like we were locked in admin for a while and TwoTone didn't kill me. I don't know.
No way.
Like he had every opportunity to. But it really does give you a way to frustrate the game, slow it down, and certainly one of the times I've used it most often, because I'm by no means an expert player or perfect player. Every now and then I make a vent and I realize I'm in vision and that person's running to the button. I gotta go stop them. And I will use doors to catch up to them, wait for my kill cooldown, and take them out if I have to. It's a great tool in a tight spot.
We're in a tight spot with this. Sorry, the overlay got a little messed up. I should have moved the icon because we're headed towards the end of our content. Now, is there any other items that we wanted to touch on with our viewing audience before we get to actually playing some Among Us games with people?
I think one of the things that we haven't talked about a lot of is reactor and oxygen. And particularly, I think in the context of maps like Mira, where Mira is one of the most bizarre maps, right? It's controversial. People don't love it for a lot of reasons, and I understand. But the layout is so much different. It's balanced in a completely different way than Skeld and Polis, and so oxygen and even calling comms splits people up. And I think that's one of the things on Skeld. You get the same thing. Oxygen splits people up and can give you some of that distance when you've got lobbies that are when you've got crew that are grouping up a ton and you need to create some space from them. It's a really good way to move people around. And one of the things we didn't mention outright, I think people who are watching know this for the most part, but just to make sure, reactor and oxygen are the two that crew can't ignore. If the countdown on either of those gets to 0, imposter win automatically. So you absolutely can use that to create a little bit of urgency, move people around the map. On Mira, when you move people to reactor, you clear out most of the rest of the map. Everyone's got to go through decontam. It's a great way to create some space when you need to be able to move around very quickly. So
everybody's here and then they go here. I'm getting really technical with the.
And that's it. If it's on the thing here, everyone's over here, and then they all go up here. It's Mira's Michigan is really what I'm trying to say here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think those are really the kind of key points. I don't know that there's a lot more. Reactor is sort of the standard meta play when your 2 imposters are still alive on 6 and you want to get your double kill. I think that's something that for players that don't know, this is a good thing to be aware of, because if you have an imposter teammate who's expecting this, it can be really rough if you're not ready for that double kill play. But when you get down to 6 players, you only need 2 more kills. There's 2 imposters left. It's pretty standard to call reactor and go as the imposters and just wait. And then as soon as you have your 2 kills in sight, you split off, make sure you're on there, and you get the double kill right at that time so they can't get the report off. Most crew are going to run around pressing R, getting ready, hoping that they can get you before the double kill's off. But if you do it right, you're pretty much guaranteed to win every time. O2 can be a little scary to do that with. You're split off in different areas. You can't be sure. But certainly for a play on 6 like that, it's a good one to just keep in mind, because it doesn't really change that much. That's meta that's pretty solid, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I would say that I actually have one of my proudest kills is one of my cheekiest kills using O2 actually and Prox chat. And if you're one of the interesting things about O2 specifically, Skeld, is with how close they are in proximity, you always end up rounding around one way or the other. And typically, if you get the right sort of pattern, everybody ends up in the same spot at the same time, which is the perfect time to be like wiggle, wiggle, slice. And it's cheeky AF, but who doesn't like to end people in a cheeky way? Just really quick in the chat. Is that a map of Michigan? Absolutely, Michael. It is. Spooky. Spooky. Hey, yo. Am I very late? LOL. Hey, it's YouTube. You can always watch the replay. We're going to be posting this episode. So you're not late.
Absolutely.
You're here, and that's what matters.
You're with us, and we care.
Yeah, exactly. Dark Gamer, would you say that the O2 sabotage time is a little low and can give the imposters the win? In certain situations, yes. You're looking at it. I think it's 30 seconds for Skeld and 45 seconds for Mira. You can correct me if I'm wrong.
I believe that's correct.
It's a very short amount of time as far as Skeld is concerned. So there's some times when people will just be like, I ain't doing that. I got killed on O2 the last time and da-da-da-da-da. And speaking of which, kill on O2 if you can, because it sets the precedent for later when you call O2. No one's going to want to do it.
Absolutely. I think that's the you can get away with it. I think particularly towards the end of the game, you can get away with an O2. Although if you've got a really lazy lobby, and I have played in some lobbies where people are like, there's still 8 of us, someone's going to go get it. And then it gets down to 10 and it's really like, yeah, exactly. Like, you just read the room. That's really, if I could give any advice for imposter play, it's just read the room. That's your best tool, your best skill for getting it, is you're just going to know how to run those folks around.
Yeah. Here's a free meta for you. If you ever play with Fortech never does any sabotage. So no, if you're playing with Fortech, throw those sabotages out there. You know, either you're going to get a kill or, eventually maybe the sabotage doesn't get fixed because Fortech ain't doing that. That's the meta for you. I'm kidding. She's actually been doing that a lot.
Well, and let's talk one last thing. So I know we're wrapping up before we go play, but one bit I think that a lot of players who are new will get, I think, some angry reactions from imposter teammates who are, who have played for a little bit and whatnot, is this sense of imposter courtesy that exists between, when you've got a map or a lobby with 2 imposters. And I think this is something that I hope the community does a better job of just taking the time to talk to people about when this happens. But so that generally speaking, if you get voted out as imposter and your teammate is still running around trying to finish out the game, it's good courtesy to close doors for them, but do not call sabotages for them. Do not other sabotage. Do not call lights for them. Do not call comms for them. Reactor O2. Those are
unless they specifically ask for it. If they specifically, if you know that they're like, I love it when someone else will do sabotages for me in a 1v all situation, then fine. But only if you know that.
Only if it's a consenting relationship between 2 imposters do you do that. Otherwise, give them the space to make that call for themselves, because 9 times out of 10, they're going to be trying to read the room as best they can, and they know the play they want to make. And that's really the important thing. Is sabotages are about what kind of play do you want to make. The reason we showed you these videos is there are specific ways to do this. Yes, when you're going around getting kills, you can be the opportunist. You see the moment, you seize it, you go for it. Absolutely. Carpe the murder. But my
That's
partner
awesome.
is a classicist and she would hate me for that joke. But but it's really, I think, important to give your imposter teammate the room to kind of get that done. And the more you play with the same, and again, we're going to keep talking about this, but playing with a good group of folks over and over again is part of what makes this game fun. Yes, play the tournaments, play the competitive lobbies, do the other games to really get an experience for what's out there, but find a good group of folks that you like to play with and keep playing with them, because as you learn each other a little bit, that game is just going to get richer. I promise you. It's so much fun when you start to learn. I can't tell you that Ripple and I have talked for so long about getting an imposter duo, just the 2 of us. It finally happened, and we just started piling bodies.
We're just like, kill everything, kill everything. Oh, gotta. We just double killed until we got down to like 6, I think, and then we both got voted out.
It was true. it was one of the most fun games I'd had. Like, we finally got it to happen, and it was so enjoyable. And I remember the reason we got sussed out was because the kills were happening so fast and so cleanly that they're like, it's only Ripple or TwoTone that can do this. There's no way it's any. It was such a meta reason to get sussed out, but they were right.
True. Yeah, they were right. There was nothing we could do. It wasn't positioning or anything like that. It was just, well, this is going way too quick. Let's get them out of here.
It's one of them. It's definitely one of them.
Got to be one, probably both. So yeah, and by the way, guys, thank you so much for helping. 13 people watching right now. Got 11 likes. Go ahead and hit another like. Really appreciate that. If you haven't hit like yet, appreciate it if you do. I was in that game. Yes, you were. Checkmate. Again, this is just Sussin. This is the first talk show about Among Us. You can find it on YouTube. If you have any more questions, go ahead and hit us in the live chat. We're going to go ahead and answer anything that we have remaining. I'm going to read some of the comments right now. Angelina, dance. Usually dancing on a body confuses a few people. I do it most of the time, and I never get sus. Well, that's because you're an awesome person, Angelina. And, because of that awesomeness, I would never assume. I would just be like, oh yeah, no, it's JC. It's a joke for some people in the chat. Larry, Alan, how often do you do this? Hi, Larry Gaming, by the way. I hope you had a good stream today. How often will you do this? We're looking to do this TwoTone weekly, bi-weekly.
I think we're still setting a schedule as both of us try and figure out kind of what we can commit. But I think ultimately the goal is to get to weekly, particularly as we set up the structures in place to get a script written, get kind of an idea for what we want to talk about and move for it. But as we kind of get this up and running, bear with us. It might be every other week.
Yeah. And hey, you know what? If you want to help us right now in the live chat, go ahead and write a topic that doesn't have to do with sabotages. What do you want to know about? One of the examples would be JC is always sus. Oh no, I just read that because that's true. Yeah. Spooky ass. what's the best way to kill or where to kill? I think that that's a great topic for a future episode. A
Absolutely.
couple of the topics that we were suggesting where we would do again the uh, one imposter versus five, or the one imposter versus four. How do you manage to carry a situation when you have your imposter buddy yeeted out really quick? I mean, that's always a good question, and there's a couple of different ways that you can go about doing it. What are some of the other table talk? I think table talk is something that we really need to have a full episode on, because when we're talking about the mechanics of sabotage, sometimes what you need to carry it out is the ability to talk across the table from people and tell them a story, if you will, make them believe your lies, or your half truths, if you will.
Absolutely.
What are some of the other ideas that we had to Tone? Sorry to put you on the spot like that.
No, 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 no. I appreciate it. I mean, I think there's a whole lot in there. You're talking about table talk. I work in a lot of kind of political places, and so I think about it in terms of whipping votes. Right? It's
There you
how
go.
can you collect votes? Because when you are, whether you're crew or imposter, um, you're looking to collect votes. Because if your crew just running around and doing your job and doing your task isn't enough, it's very easy to make someone that's just focused on tasks sus. So I think how you build up alibis and whip votes from the lobby to really tell your story, whether it's true or as imposter. Um, I think there's a lot of math that gets assumed, particularly in some of the more competitive lobbies. Taking some time to just talk about the meta. You always hear people say never vote on 7, or we get a free shot on 8. These kinds of things. Taking a little time to break down that math, I think, could be really interesting. And
Absolutely.
then, talking about hard clears and soft clears. That's another one that, maybe not a huge, deep topic, but one that can easily get confusing if not really communicated well. Because if you end up misclearing, you're gonna play right into an imposter's hands when they're marinating you. So you need to be really thoughtful about who you're clearing, what you're clearing them for, and whether or not that is something they're going to be able to use to cover up a kill later.
Mhm.
So I think there's there's plenty more. I would love to hear from folks what you want to hear about, what would help your game, what would help you have
Mhm.
more fun playing Among Us and raising your level up. But, it's a huge game with limitless possibilities. We're looking forward to talking to you about all of it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. A couple more people in the chat. Hey, Pixel. Let's see here. Vival Finn. All good truths are half lives. And then writes lies afterwards. I think that that's more like that was like a Freudian slip where you're like, all good truths are lives that are halved, sliced in half. That is, ha ha. It's Doctor Suicide, so it definitely is. Alan Chavez. Alan says, also, by the way, you should do one on things like you would do if you weren't imposter, for example, like like seeing someone kill. I'm going to paraphrase.
Go for it.
What do you do in a situation, for instance, and we're not going to answer this, but maybe it's a good topic for a future episode. When you see someone kill in front of you, how do you convince the people? Like, how do you figure out who's killed when it's like a stack kill situation? I think that that's a
Oh,
really,
that's a
really
really
good
good
topic.
one.
Yeah, absolutely. JC sus when he moves, when he talks, and when he does tasks, like all the time. Yeah, absolutely. You're right.
Well,
JC
and that
definitely is.
actually
What?
that should be a topic too that we touch on, because it's something that I found early on was a problem when I was crewmate, is the
Mm.
way I moved around, the way I entered table talk. And there's a player that we'll play a lot with, Robert Tom, who's a dear friend of mine, who just calls me out so hard because I'll slow down conversation. I want to process the information. I want to understand, okay, you're saying this, you're trying to make that person clear. What's going on? And when he's imposter, he makes me the most sus person because I'm just trying to ask questions and slow down the play a little bit. So understanding how to, as crew especially, make yourself seem not sus, doing that kind of work. How are you getting information out? How are you pathing? What are the ways that you can stick with people without grouping up too much?
Right.
These are some of those finer passive points of play that I think we definitely should get into in future conversations.
Absolutely. Well, Two-Tone, that was our first episode. How do you feel after that?
That was amazing. This is I think, so much fun. I really hope that the topic of Sabotages today helps all of you out there that are listening. Ripple, it's such a joy to be able to do this with you and talk through all of these parts of this game. And just, it's, as always, it's so much fun to play with you. And I'm looking forward to jumping in the lobby right now and showing people what we're talking about. Like, let's get in and have some fun.
Oh, absolutely. Let's definitely do that. So yeah, for TwoTone, I am RPLTKO. This has been Just Sussin. We'll see you next time.
Got a big start, got a good heart. First gotta say that, gotta think smart. Tryna make moves, breaking my wrist. Getting those kills, getting assists. Looking at me, getting those deals. Yeah, I said no, off for 10 minutes.